بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم. We all know that this month of Ramadan, which is soon going to be coming to an end, is the month of the Quran. So just to go over a few points that I'm sure many of us know, but just as a reminder, we need to remember that the Quran is an amazing text and an amazing book that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us as a mercy and as a guidance. Every single letter in the Quran is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, directly to us. On Laylatul Qadr, we know that the Quran was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But also on that night, the Quran descended from the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, to the first heaven. So this is one of the great events that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us on that night as well. And then it descended from the lowest heaven to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam throughout his 23 years of his message. We know that the message, or the first revelation, was delivered to the Prophet ﷺ from the angel Jibreel when he was meditating in the cave of Hira. He used to go there to think about the world and about his existence and the purpose of being alive. And one night while he was there, angel Jibreel came to him and asked him to read. We know the story. The Prophet ﷺ, who was unable to read or write, said, "I do not know how to read." So Jibreel alayhi salam squeezed him and pressed him so hard that he could barely breathe. And then he released him and asked him once again to read. Again he replied, "But I do not know how to read." Jibreel alayhi salam squeezed him 3 times, and each time the Prophet ﷺ responded the same. And then Jibreel alayhi salam related the first words of the Quran, Surah Al-Alaq. The first 5 ayat. "Read in the name of your Lord, who has created all that exists. He has created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who was taught by the pen. He has taught man that which he knew not." And this was the first revelation of the Quran to us on the earth by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet did not get another revelation until sometime later. He was walking alone and he heard a voice from the sky, and he looked up and he saw Jibreel alayhi salam sitting on a chair. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was afraid, and the second revelation occurred at this time, Surah Al-Muddathir. Ya ayyuhal muddathir qum fa'andhar wa rabbaka fakabbir wa thiyabaka fatahhir. The first 5 ayat again of Surah Al-Muddathir. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here now is giving him a direct command that now he has to start talking about the message of Islam and the message of the Quran. Over the next 23 years, the Prophet ﷺ received the Quran in various stages. The revelation of the Quran to the Prophet ﷺ came in different forms. Sometimes it was with direct words from Jibreel alayhi salam. Sometimes it was the ringing of a bell. Sometimes there was a buzzing noise. These were some of the relations from the Sahaba who were around him when he would get revelation. But it was a very powerful thing. It was a tremendous thing that even the Prophet ﷺ had difficulty to manage. If he was on an animal, on his camel, or riding another beast, the animal would actually go down to its knees as the revelation was being given to the Prophet ﷺ because of the weight of the words. Once he was sitting next to one of the Sahaba, and his leg was on the leg of the Sahabi, and he started getting the revelation, and the Sahabi said that his leg became so pressed and so crushed from the weight that he could not feel his leg anymore while the Prophet ﷺ was getting the revelation. Aisha radiallahu anha would say that even if it was a very cold day and the Prophet ﷺ was getting the revelation, he would start sweating profusely from the power and the might of the words that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was revealing to him. Jibreel alayhi salam is the angel that brought down these words to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is the angel that brought the other books to the other prophets and messengers as well. So he has been the one that is always bringing down the books from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to humankind. It is said that when the Quran is being revealed to Jibreel alayhi salam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly, there would be a sound in the heavens as if chains were being pulled over rocks. That's how strong and how powerful the message again was being brought to him. As he was bringing it down, the other angels would crowd around him and ask him, what did Allah tell you? What are the words that were revealed? Because they wanted to hear the magnificent words of the Quran as well. Surah Al-An'am was one of the few surahs that was revealed in its entirety all at once, including Surah Al-Fatiha and also Surah Al-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. When Surah Al-An'am was revealed, it is said that 70,000 angels escorted Jibreel alayhi salam when he brought it down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Which companion started crying when he heard Surah Al-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. This surah was one of the last surahs that was revealed, and it was indicating to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that his message is coming to an end. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu realized this because it talks about how hundreds and groups and crowds of people are entering Islam now that the Prophet ﷺ has revealed the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that during the month of Quran, in Ramadan, that Jibreel alayhi salam would recite and review the Quran with the Prophet ﷺ every time it was Ramadan. And in the Ramadan before he passed away, Jibreel alayhi salam reviewed it with him 2 times. So this for him was one of the indications that maybe my life is actually going to be coming to an end. So this message that has been brought to us, there are ayahs in the Quran that talk about if the Quran came down on a mountain, the mountain would be destroyed, would crack and shatter. This is how powerful this book is, and we need to remember that. We know that it is the preserved book, unlike the other books and texts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the only one that has been kept in its original words, and Allah has promised to protect it. It is the most memorized book in the world. There is no other book in the world that is memorized as much as the Quran. Over 1 million people have memorized the Quran in its entirety. During the time of the Sahaba, the Quran, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Quran was written on different mediums, bones, skin. It was not in a organized form. And so Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when there was a battle where 500 of the Huffaz, the people who had memorized the Quran, were killed, he decided we have to collect it and preserve it, because if these people die, we won't be able to have it in its correct form. So he started ordering the Sahaba to start gathering it. He put Zayd ibn Thabit in charge, and throughout the years it was collected and authenticated, and during the time of Uthman it was finally compiled, and there were a few copies that were kept, and we know that from those Qur'ans we have the same Qur'an that we have today, so that it is the true words of the Prophet ﷺ that was revealed to us. May Allah help us to be of those who always understand the Quran and read it and memorize it. Help the Muslims around the world to understand the Quran more and more and more. Guide the Muslims in their situation to improve. May Allah help the Masjid al-Aqsa to be opened once again, so that the Muslims can pray and worship as is our right. And may Allah heal the sick in our community and heal those with mental illness who need to come out of the darkness into the light. May Allah accept our last few days of Ramadan and give us Jannah, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.